What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the Cutlass Board Games channel. I'm Keith and I make games, but also on this channel we play a lot of Blood on the Clocktower, and the reason why you've clicked on this video in particular is I have made the outlandish claim there are no bad Blood on the Clocktower characters. Now, this goes directly in contrary to some of the other videos that I've made talking about underloved characters or making tier lists and putting some characters in F tier or just say that they are bad. Some of these things are true. However, I maintain that there are no bad Blood on the Clocktower characters from a different kind of perspective. Normally, when I talk about whether something is good or bad, I'm talking about in how it's designed and what its intended delivered game experience is. That's how I am rating things. This video in particular, we're going to be looking at them from a different perspective. In this video, I want to talk about characters that people pull out of the bag and go, this game's going to suck because I'm this character, and then that colors their game experience to the negative regardless of the setup. They don't know what the Grimoire is, they don't know what the circumstances are. You could be the recluse and something really cool is about to happen to you. You don't know that. And you're currently, conditioned to think this is going to be a bad game. I don't have a lot of agency. I'm not doing a lot of stuff. And then that is the problem that I want to talk about today. And I want to talk about it by diving into a ridiculously and feels like very unrelated comparison with Valorant. Now, Valorant is a game that I like to play casually. You'll not catch me playing ranked, but the more that I have been playing this game, the more I realize how similar the complaints I have with Valorant are similar to Blood on the Clocktower. Hear me out. Valorant, if you don't know, is a 5v5 tactical shooter where there's two win conditions. The first win condition is to kill all of your opponents, and the second win condition is to plant the spike and have the spike detonate. It's basically the same as Counter-Strike if you're familiar with that. Now, the reason why I listed them in that order is because I believe that order is incorrect. If the main goal was to kill all of your opponents, then there is not necessarily any need for the spike, short of it being a way that the clock interacts with both teams. Because essentially, after you planted the spike, the clock is handed over to your opponent. If you haven't planted the spike, the clock is on you to plant the spike or kill everyone. Now, there is an inherent problem with the characters in Valorant where everyone wants to be that guy. Everyone wants to be him that did the crazy cool thing. And Clocktower has a similar problem. Everyone wants to be the guy that was like, wow, that was so cool. I can't believe you pulled off this thing. I didn't believe you were the demon the whole time. That kind of problem. Now, in Valorant, there is several different types of character. The main one that you'll see the most of is Duelist. And this is particularly fascinating to me because, especially just playing in unrated and kind of lower ranks, like me, I'm low rank, people will just instantly lock in a Duelist. They're not going to care about what the team comp is. They're just going to kind of, pick that guy and throw out that guy. And if you have 5 Duelists, it's really hard to conquer some of the objectives of the map because they're lacking things in the toolkit. There's reasons why there's other types of characters. You may start to realize the direction I'm heading with this. When people select all 5 Duelists, they're all competing to be that one guy that did the cool thing, they got all the kills, and then they won the game. Clocktower is kind of the same. You have to start looking at the characters in these kinds of categories. There is going to be characters that are going to get all of this cool information. There is going to be characters that try and solve the game, that piece it all together. And there is going to be characters that are just a small piece of the puzzle, and it's their job to contribute that small piece to helping solve the game. And those kinds of things are kind of underappreciated, and I think in the scope of Blood on the Clocktower. And Batman Rising, which I have loaded up here, is a really good example. There's like 2 info characters, the grandmother and the gambler. No one else learns anything. Everyone else just kills people or prevents people from being killed. And then you have to figure out who the demon is from that. So who's the duelist here? Who's the guy that's locking it down and figuring out who the demon is? Well, the responsibility is much more equally shared across the good team. And I think that's why a lot of people claim that Batman Rising is one of the better scripts. But if you look at Trouble Brewing, something like the Fortune Teller that just like directly detects demon is going to be your duelist, right? And then you'll have like an assist character like the monk, whose job is to let the fortune teller continue to do their job for as long as possible. Is the monk a less important character? No. Inherently, is drawing the monk going to make you have a bad time? Well, no. And part of that is you have to understand that the storyteller is going to have a master plan, and I can't account for every storyteller. I can't say every storyteller is good. I only like 5 of them in total. But you have to keep in mind that you were an intended piece in a greater puzzle. Like if we harken back to the Valorant analogy, if you are not the duelist, your job is to support the duelist. And so if you have a look at competitive Valorant teams, they very rarely will have more than one duelist because they're focusing on so many other objectives that are important, like information and information denial. The same is true for Blood on the Clocktower. What can I learn? What can I stop my enemy team from learning? Who can I find and who can I trust? Still kind of resonates in that same way. You are assembling a team of people from just the random 15 people seated at your table to be able to win the game. And I think that is something that is so missed sometimes. People will pull a character out of the bag and it's an outsider and they go, I'm going to have a bad time because this character isn't fun. And I think that's just not true. Your character is not the entire way that you interact with the game. It's a small fraction. It's information you receive for free when you are playing the game. What every person's character is the puzzle you are trying to solve, and that is playing Blood on the Clocktower. Now, I know this is a short video, but I've been thinking about this for a little bit, and I hope it kind of rings true for some people, and I know people complain a lot, like, oh, this character sucks, or I don't want to be the demon, or this thing is really stressful, but it's kind of easier to think about other stuff that you're doing and what your objectives are if your character isn't everything that you are bringing to this experience. But I'm curious to hear what you think. Do you also hate Valorant? Do you see the parallels between these two things? Please let me know. Is there any character that you definitely think means that you will have a bad time? I mean, there's some characters that I just don't think belong in a regular-sized game. Like, the Atheist is fun in a Teensyville, but, you know, and like Legion I don't think belongs in a big game. Same kind of problems, and part of that is going to be the storyteller. But I think that your character being something that you specifically don't think is very fun does not guarantee you'll have a bad time, and that's kind of what I wanted to say here.